Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating where we dig into the why. We're constantly asking why when it comes to dating, why people do the things they do and why people think the way they do. And that's what we're here for. In addition to, let me introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to the fuckboy slayer, Julie Sapchick herself. That's how I'm going to
Is that
intro
our
you.
new host intro?
You need like a theme song, it's like dun 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 dun, fuck you, fuck boys. And then you like come on stage. The
For
fuck
anyone
boy
that's just
slayer.
joined us for the first time, go back to last episode.
I don't
You're
even think
like, what the fuck?
I don't even think that needs much explanation.
That's
I
true.
think it's
That's
like,
true.
yeah, you
People are like, I'm in the
say
right
fuckboy.
place. I heard
Yes.
Fuckboy Slayer. This is the podcast I want to be at.
How do I join this team? I got to tell you, I'm in SoCal right now, and it is hot.
Is
I am
it?
so sweaty. We did another recording this week, and by the end of it, I had such bad pit stains on my
Oh
t-shirt.
my
I had to
God.
wash it right away. It's so hot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess San Francisco summers are like pretty cold in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
And we have more of for anyone that doesn't live in SF, it's like more of the delayed summer is like September, October. And actually, our coldest months of like the whole year is like ironically July. I've had way too many friends from Boston be like, I'm going to come visit in July. And I'm like, please don't. Like, stay where you are. It is so much better. So it's a false ism here.
But I also feel like people who live in San Francisco forget every year, right? Like
Yeah, because there's like a
every
mental block of like summer, and then because it's if you leave San Francisco, it's hot. Like even
Mhm.
if you go
Like San
like
Jose, it's
yep,
like 100
South Bay,
degrees.
East Bay, North Bay, anywhere, it's just the fog hits San
Hmm.
Francisco in July exceptionally. But I agree, it's like one of those like mental blocks that because I think you also see people all over the country doing like summer activities. So,
Yeah. I remember
but
my first summer in San Francisco 5 years ago. I wore shorts and a North Face jacket. And I was like, where else in the world would I be wearing this combination right now? It was like hot during the day, maybe till like 2, went to Dolores, and then it dropped to like 20 degrees. And I had to put on my North Face jacket.
uh,
It's craziness. It's craziness, I tell you. But it's always crazy times these days. Always unpredictable. How was your week?
it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I went to, I think a lot of cities are doing this, but in San Francisco, they've blocked off Valencia Street in the Mission, and it's all restaurants, all outdoor dining, and it's almost feels like European. Like it's pretty
Hmm.
cool, actually. I was really digging it. And then I went to Golden Gate Park today, and just again, a lot of people out, but everyone's in masks, and it feels relatively safe. So, knock on wood that it continues to be at this level. San Francisco never like fully reopened, so it's not like we closed anything back down. But yeah, it's been yeah, I don't know. It's definitely different. It's not like how life was, but it's the new normal, I guess.
I ventured into LA today. I was so scared, but I
Oh
did because,
yeah.
hearing the nightmare stories about LA and everyone was wearing a
Oh
mask.
good.
I wouldn't
Good.
say they were socially distanced because the outdoor seating was pretty damn crowded, but everyone seemed somewhat responsible of this. So I felt good because I had my mom with me. We were in full on gloves.
Oh my God. Were you in a hazmat suit?
If it wasn't so hot outside, I think we would have worn raincoats or something. But full on gloves. My mom brought some face shields. We didn't wear them, but
Oh my God. I wish there was a photo of you with a face shield so bad.
walking in Studio City, like everyone else is half naked. My mom and I are in like gloves and face shields. Yeah, safety first, right? So speaking of safety first, I remember I told you earlier this week that I've tried to be as safe as possible coming down to SoCal. So I'll give you the rundown of what I did, and then maybe this can help others, or maybe others can give me suggestions for trying to be safe, even safer next time. I want to see my parents, so coming down to SoCal, I took JSX, and JSX basically is like a smaller plane, a 30 people capacity, but there were only 7 people on the plane, so I was
Mm,
really far away from everyone. You
that's good.
go into the airport, so the terminal is like outside, so you don't have to like be part of that airport germs. And when I got back to my parents' house, so I took a COVID test before coming here, tested negative. And then when I got to my parents' house, I went straight to my room, quarantined myself, took off all my clothes, threw it in the washer dryer, took a shower, washed everything down, wiped everything down, and then I wore a mask. And I'm still wearing a mask around my parents. So my parents and I don't share any utensils. Our food is all separate. I wash my own dishes, which as any adult should anyway. And I eat outside. It's really funny. I eat separately from them.
That is the part that cracked me up the most, that you're like, yeah, I'm sitting through a screen.
Yeah, my parents are waving at me, and my mom's like,
God.
"Do you want any more vegetables?"
I think also, like, to point out, you didn't go down just for, you know, shits and giggles and like a fun trip. I know there's a lot of influencers getting like, I'm not calling us influencers, I will just say that because I hate that name, but just putting it out there that like there's a lot of influencers getting flack for like traveling a lot and not wearing masks in photos and stuff like that. And I mean, on one side, I get it. Like, on one side, I'm like, oh, it sucks because, like, I'm sure the people giving them flack are also doing similar stuff. But at the same time, like, you are putting yourself in that light. So it is important that you use your influence for good. Mm-hmm. But I think that the problem that it's been for some of these folks is that it's like a consistent thing. It's clearly just like a leisure travel. And I agree, there's something about it that doesn't sit well. And I think especially when they're like taking photos and like all up in each other's grill without masks on, there's like something like icky that I feel, I don't know. It's just like not a good vibe, but it doesn't sound like you're doing that at all, which is really good.
And at the same time, I feel like I'm like the mask police on Instagram. If I see anybody I know taking a picture with other people without a mask on, I always comment. And I always say like, where's your mask? And the response is always like, oh, we took off our mask for this photo. I'm like, but you could also catch a virus from 1 millisecond of taking off your mask. Like, why do you think you're exempt from taking a photo?
Yeah, I don't get this whole like, I don't know, there's a lot of photos of people just like all over each other, like hugging and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't get that. Like, I get the need to have some social interaction, especially if you've been like quarantined by yourself. I get it. Even if you've been quarantined with a significant other or your family, you're probably freaking sick of them by now and need some other social interaction. So I get that as long as you're like safe measures. But like, what's the need to be like all up hugging someone? Like, I can bond with you from 6 feet. Like, there's no need.
Yeah.
It feels totally unnecessary to me.
Why do you need to take off a mask for a photo? You look probably better with a mask on. I'm just saying, a lot of people look better with a mask on, so keep it on.
I will say that we had at the happy hour this week, we do, for anyone that hasn't heard this already, we do the weekly, I'm sure most of you have, anyone do, we do the weekly happy hour in our Facebook group. People have loved just as a way to connect with others. And we actually talked about what we talked about on this episode a couple weeks ago about like, it was, I think I phrased it as a would you rather, like, would you rather like have sex with someone being 6 feet apart in a mask, doggy style only, or like, would you rather just have virtual sex? And the responses were hilarious. Like, there were some people that was like, damn, like, it's been so fucking long, like, I would go in there, just get it done and get out of there. Then others are like, no, germs, like, I don't want to. It was just the range of replies were just hilarious.
It's a glory.
Sad. I don't know, hilarious / sad. I'm not sure what the right word is.
My friend and I were texting over the weekend talking about how we can make glory holes a business, you know, like a drive-thru glory hole. And you can make it kind of like gig economy wise, right? You can hire people to be part of the sucking or hand jobs and then charge the other way too. So you earn double commission, right? From both sides. You're basically like Fiverr, but for people who want to get off. and if you think about it, it really works. Like, you just want to make sure that everyone's well employed, everyone's active, everyone's getting their shit done. You know, like I don't see anything wrong with it. It's just more the hygiene aspect. I think we just need to control somehow. But like, honestly, glory holes are great. You don't care. You're like not trying to be picky who's on the other side. You're just trying to get shit done. Try to make a deposit Like at the bank. Although this is what I said. If you're at the bank, you don't care who the teller is. You're just there to make a deposit, yo.
For anyone that doesn't know what glory holes are, can you kind of just give a, I don't know, I don't want anyone excluded from the convo either.
Wait, is that a translation? That's Julie saying, so what's a glory hole?
Asking for a friend.
For anyone who doesn't know.
Anytime I anticipate the listener questions, it's really me. I'm just kidding.
Well, my understanding of a glory hole is they're just holes in a wall and you stick your penis through. And on the other side, you can choose to have your penis sucked or jerked off by someone, but you have no idea who it is. You're just guaranteed to get off somehow.
So is there an option for women for this? This feels very one-sided.
It is very, it's hard to stick a vagina through a wall.
No, I feel like you could. You could just have someone their
you know what
up.
You could do is a upside down glory hole. You sit on a bench or something.
Yeah, there's possibilities.
Yeah, and people underneath can lick you from under. Hey, you know what? If you're entrepreneurial, now's the time to get to it.
Hey, there's probably a lot of people that buy this shit. A lot of people, but
yeah. And then we just call it something else. Glamour holes, like
glamour holes.
Just do glamour holes.
Way to class it up, UA. Just add the word glamour instead of glory.
And then you get like a martini while you get your
This sounds like a business idea you and I had a couple of years ago.
Oh,
if you're remembering what it was.
Vagina steaming.
I feel like this could have so many paths, but anyways, we could go on a tangent for a lot longer on this. But
he's like, I want to change the subject. While I'm like, Gwyneth Paltrow, are you free? Would you like to invest in our new business, Glamour Holes LLC?
But I've had quite a week, UA, doing this dating app experiment.
Oh yeah,
I have so many findings
all over the world.
I have been everywhere. I actually took notes because I had so many findings that I was like, I'm not going to remember them by the time this is. And for anyone that has replied to the Instagram story, there were so many suggestions of where I can go next. And I think what I've decided through all this...
Wait, refresh first. For anybody who doesn't know this experiment, Julie has decided to travel the world dating through virtually. So she has chosen a different location each day?
You know what? It started off each week and now it is condensed a lot because there's a lot of different locations. So I'm saying sometimes I even go 2 places in a day.
Oh, damn.
Those flights are a lot easier when you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and free $99.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to see for anyone also that didn't hear last week, but you can always go back and catch it. But the idea is just since we're in this virtual world, you can really date anywhere. And everyone complains and everyone bitches about their city. And I wanted to see if there really were similarities or noticeable differences in different cities with dating apps. Again, for anyone that's questioning the logistics here, yes, it is a sample size of 1. This is not a scientific study, but it was in it. Again, I'm not, especially now that I'm only going to be there for a couple hours, potentially, I'm actually not having long in-depth conversations with a lot of people. Okay. So this is more just superficial, what I'm noticing in the swipe world. So I want to preface that also. So if you see something different, if you live in one of these cities and you're like, nope, that does not hit it at all, please write in, tell us, because we can always share that perspective. Again, this is not a scientific study. This is not a scientific study. This is more just shooting the shit, trying to see what's out there. But anyways, so UA gave me quite the list last week. And now the list is super long because all of you listeners gave recommendations on the Facebook group and on Instagram. So I will try to go everywhere. I might have to hit the line at one point.
One of Julie. You might have to clone yourself on these
Exactly. Apps. Or other people can pick up the experiment and write in.
There you go.
There's always that option.
Outsource.
I think also just one of the things I've realized from this is I'm ready to go back and date, like actually date and meet people. And I think before this, again, for anyone that's coming in late, like ended something in May-ish. I think it was May. Yeah, like May-ish.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's been 3 months?
Yeah, I know. Doesn't it feel
Dang,
like
time
either
flies.
I can't decide if it feels less or more. I can't really decide, but we're in just like a time vortex in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, in May ended a long-term relationship of mine that we were giving another chance. So it was an ex. It wasn't like a consistent long-term relationship, but it was, we decided not to pursue it. So afterwards, I got back on dating apps and realized that I was kind of just there for vanity swipes and not really wanting to do like full-on conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a little time off and now I did this experiment. And honestly, this experiment has made me want to just like meet up with people in real life again and have more actual connections and dates. So I think you said it really well, Yue, in our episode with Minji, like I date me first, which we talked about like getting back onto dates after a breakup too. It's like you kind of know when you're ready to just meet people again, even if that's just platonically, like you have an urge to meet someone, not like feeling like you should be on the app. So I've gotten that urge back. So thank you, experiment, for getting me out of my shell and maybe coming back there. I think there's always a silver lining in every experiment.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So why I said that is I'm going to continue the experiment for one more week in a bunch of the locations that were done and then pass the torch to anyone that wants to like write in and tell us about their own experiment. We can keep it going if we're getting a lot of these submissions, or if not, we'll do some other experiment. There's so many more that we can do along the lines. Also, I kind of feel the other side of it. There was a few people that I might have toyed with their emotions a little with it. So that's like, I'll go into it, but I feel like there's a little bit of that I don't love. So that's why I also want to maybe limit it for another week and then move on to a more authentic reason for being on the apps.
There you go.
So I went to Chicago. That was one of the ones that Yue said. And first of all, I want to point out that there are really fucking hot guys in Chicago.
Yeah.
I was like really attracted to a lot of the dudes that I was swiping on.
Midwest blood, man.
Yes.
That's hot blood.
But I feel like none of the ones I like swipe back on me.
Oh.
It was like one of those things that there were like a lot of like really attractive men, but I wasn't getting the reciprocal match with them. Like I was getting other people, but they weren't the ones that I was really attracted to. So it wasn't like a gold mine, I guess, is what I'm trying to say in short. It was when you just looked at the people, but for whatever reason, and that could be a ton of reasons. I don't know what that is. Maybe just, like maybe they're not that active. Maybe I'm not their type. Like, I don't know what the answer is. Other women in Chicago would love to hear if you're hearing this too or seeing this, like really attractive men that are not making the move in any way. So put that out. But I noticed one thing that was very interesting. I mean, I'm a Jewish woman and I expect LA and New York to be like Jew central. Like anytime I'm there swiping, I know I'm going to get a lot of Jews. Chicago, tons of Jewish men.
That is
true. I was very surprised by that.
Spillover from New York.
Yeah. And then also I noticed a lot of men in their 40s. And I think that's also my age is going up a little. But one of the things that there was always this perception, at least I had, was that it was hard to date in Chicago the older you got because Midwestern people tend to settle down earlier. So my theory is they're either divorced and not putting that on their profile, or, I mean, who knows, maybe just spill over from other major cities where people tend to settle down later. I don't really know what the answer is, but I noticed that. And I noticed a lot of people didn't reference divorce or their kids. But also I know that people sometimes don't want to put that on regardless. So it's hard to gauge if they really were or not.
That's really interesting because if you swipe here in Orange County, it's a lot of men in their 40s, but they're all single dads. There's so many single dads, and they all have pictures with their kids too.
Interesting. I also noticed a lot of moderate people, like more moderate and conservative than you see in like San Francisco. Like everyone's liberal in San Francisco.
Right.
And I noticed that a lot more there. There were more people popping up as conservative or just more moderate. Also, I think in terms of diversity, I still saw like majority white.
Mm,
Like there were a few like Black African American, very few Asians in Chicago. In
mm-hmm,
general, though, it felt very white, but there was a lot of diversity in background and job. And I think you actually mentioned that as a
mm-hmm.
theory. And I noticed that a lot of people in like trade professions or just various different things. It wasn't just generic industry like you see in like SF or LA or New York.
Yeah.
Or maybe New York. I can't say that one 100%. I'll say SF and LA because
But
I've
no
been there.
dominating
No
industry.
dominating
Yeah.
industry. Yes. I also got hot tips from our Facebook group to go to Downers Grove in Logan Square. Downers Grove is like a western suburb outside of Chicago. So I was in North Loop and I kept my distance to like 20 mile radius. So hopefully that's picking up like a big part. I tried to do a little research of like where a good area was to set myself. So again, listeners, if you live there and you're like, you should have been here, like, write us in and let us know. I don't fully know. This is just the internet telling me. So. But we got this feedback. So Downers Grove was really interesting. It was pitched to me as dads never married, divorced, no kids, executive, non-executive, etc. So like a wide variety of people. And I definitely saw that. I don't know how much more noticeable it was there than Chicago though, but I tried there and then at the Logan Square. And Logan Square felt a little more like creative and hip, but nothing like super noticeable either.
Okay.
So
But
that
you
was
were also there for
Chicago.
like half a day.
Exactly. Philly.
Oh
Oof,
yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
asked me to go to Philly, and I chose Fishtown, which I read online was like more of like the younger
Oh,
professional
you did your
area. I
research.
did my research. I tried to make sure I was in a place that I'd probably live if I was there. So it was definitely diverse in terms of looks and race, occupation, education, very eccentric people. Like I can't even really put into words what that is. I was trying to dissect this a little more for you because my visceral reaction was to get the fuck out of Philly. It was
Yes.
just like there was
Yes.
something that I just was every guy I was getting,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
not down with. And I was trying to articulate this better because I knew you'd be like, okay, why? And honestly, I still can't articulate it. I think I might need to go back to Philly and do a little more due diligence here.
So weird. Not all of my friends who've ever dated in Philly said that they either like wanted to leave the second day, just dating in Philly, not living in
Yeah,
Philly, or they didn't feel safe, like
interesting.
by the people. I don't know what that
Interesting.
could be. Yeah.
This was definitely by far the most no's I've ever swiped in any city.
Wow.
But everyone seemed to go to Temple University. That was my one thing that
Oh
I
my God.
noticed.
Yes. Temple. Ooh. I mean, yes.
So again, I can go back there, but I would love to hear from our Philly listeners of what it's
Yes.
really like. Because again, even if I go for a day or two, I'm not going to get the full thing. I think once this restriction gets banned, you and I should take a little trip to Philly because I want to know what's
I
happening
want to
there.
know too. I know people who travel to New York just to date because they did not want to stay in Philly to date. What is
Wow.
going on there? Okay, great.
Yes, please write into us. Okay. So then I went to Sicily because you told me I was
Yes.
going to thrive
Yes.
in Sicily.
Where?
So, well, Hinge apparently is not very popular in Sicily, so it was
Oh,
very hard for me to get matches. I had to keep moving my location. I had to actually turn off that 20-mile radius was something I preferred. And then I finally got this really hot guy, and
uh-huh.
I looked to see where he was from, and he was from Tampa, Florida.
What?
I noticed everyone there was an expat. So, needless to say, I think Hinge just might not be a
Yeah, it's
thing
not a
there.
local thing there.
So I couldn't really read Sicily, I guess, in short. My one match was a U.S. resident.
Yeah, no, I think that's really just the app itself.
Yep. So while I was over the pond, or while I was across the pond, I decided to hit up London. I know this wasn't on the
Yeah.
list, but you know how I love London dudes, and oh boy, was I right! I like literally right swiped on everyone.
You definitely have a thing.
But it was just, you know what it is? It's like London is very diverse. The
Mm-hmm.
people you're getting, but there's just something about all of them that just, there's some it factor. I don't know what it is that makes
Are they
me,
like really witty?
yeah, like
Yeah.
they're witty. There's like
Yeah.
something charming about
Charming.
people.
Yes.
And I got so many messages too.
Yes.
I think also what I loved about London is that usually on Hinge, so you can just like someone's photo. And I admit that I'm lazy as fuck with dating apps, and I'll typically just like someone's photo and not put in a message. And the guys in the US do the same. They'll just
Mm-hmm.
like your stuff, and then someone eventually will start it, whatever. But in London, people would they would add comments to the photo when they sent
Mm.
it over. So I saw like just a lot more messages, engagement. And I got the nicest message I've ever received in my life.
Did you
And
print it out and frame it?
I actually wrote him because I felt bad. So
Okay. What did he say?
he wrote, and I don't know if he copy and pasted this to me plus a bunch of people, or if it was uniquely written for me. But men listening, you should do something like this. This should be a variation. And I don't care if it's a copy and paste. Like, this guy, I don't know if I would have swiped for him, just being fully transparent. But it made me stop and look at him again because of this message.
Okay.
This is what he wrote. You are truly beautiful and seem warm-hearted too. Your smile is utterly captivating. My heart skipped a beat when I first saw you. I am speechless. I know.
Wow.
Isn't that super nice? Because usually you'll get these like, oh, you're hot or something.
Yeah, which doesn't
which is
mean
not a
anything.
compliment at all. So
Wow.
men, just take a second to write something like it doesn't, I don't know, there's something about this message, let me know what you think, but I didn't think it was cheesy. Like, I just thought it felt authentic, and I really thought it was nice.
Yeah, and also just like when you write a message, you want, even though if you write 100 messages a day, every message should feel bespoke for that person. Like you really took the time to think about them. And that's what that message really means, is this person took their time to write this message for you.
There's
Very
something
nice.
about the smile line too. Like, one of
Yeah.
our friends in SF, she said that she would shoot that to men. Like, I really like your smile.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you are mass sending it, it feels like it is custom for you.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Mm-hmm.
course, only if the person is smiling in their profile, then they might realize that you're mass sending.
That's
So
just like a
anyways,
very nice message in general.
isn't it? And I don't know. I actually felt the need to reach out to him and match and be like, "Hey, I don't live here. I'm just doing this." I was like,
Oh,
because I wrote, I was like, that was such a nice message. Like, I would have felt bad just ignoring it. But I mean, what I said before, I realized that I'm looking to like actually date again, and I've had situations in London. I'm not really looking to recreate that, so I just didn't even want to
yeah.
go there. And I was like, I need to just be honest with this guy. So
So after this, we need to start a GoFundMe for Julie to just live in the UK for a little bit, because I think she would do really well, and then she should just stay there for a few months and then bring back a man.
I don't know if I need a GoFundMe as much as the US not to be banned from
Oh,
being
right.
there.
No, you need a good reason to get over there first. You're right. You're right. Yep.
So then I went,
Logistics.
yep. Then I went to Boulder and Denver. Those were my
Mhm.
last two stops.
Denver. Mm-hmm.
So Boulder I feel like this is where things got too much. So I feel like because I was doing this really quickly, all my people started merging together. Because at first I was like, this isn't the guy that I would expect in Boulder. And then I realized I was getting London people still.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when I'm like, okay, I need to calm down this experiment a little. Because honestly, people started messaging me and they're like one guy was like, I actually thought he was from San Francisco, and it turned out he was from Denver. So
Kind of
yeah.
similar.
Anyways, I feel like everyone there was white and bearded. Like, basically,
yes.
exactly
Lumberjack.
the stereotype that I thought.
Yes.
And they were all in wilderness. They were skiing. They were drinking
Camping.
beer. Like, it was literally confirming every single stereotype.
Yeah.
So, and then Denver, I feel like had the exact same vibe, but it was just like a little more bro-y. That was my take.
Maybe a little bit more cosmopolitan.
Yeah, I didn't really see that. It was like just bro-y feeling. I don't know. I just realized that's not my vibe.
Yeah, no, I think I could have. Yeah, definitely. That's not your thing. You're like not
Like
trying to go
there,
camping every weekend and
no,
make your own
that's
fire.
like my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got a handful of people requesting. These were just a couple of them. There were more, but I'm consolidating the list because I can't possibly go everywhere. So Boston, Miami, Calgary, Canada, Seattle, Melbourne, Auckland, Kansas City, Portland, Moscow, Phoenix, St.
Moscow.
Louis, Dallas, New Orleans, Washington, D.C., London, Stockholm. But I've already been to London. Moscow, I'm going to guess there's probably not many people. So maybe you can pick 3 more for me to go to out of that list. I did promise Calgary to one of our
Okay,
Facebook
let's do
members, Janice. So we'll
Calgary.
do that one.
Let's do Calgary. Let's do oh gosh. Uh you said DC is on the list?
Yep.
Yeah, let's try DC.
Okay.
I'm curious. I'm curious about DC. So Calgary, DC, and let's do one more non-US.
Melbourne.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know no guarantees of their Hinge
True,
population, but
true.
I feel like there would be more than some of the other places listed.
Yes. Well, your backup can be New Orleans.
Mm,
I just New Orleans basically should just be its own entity anyway.
that's true. I'm going to also add Miami because I'm curious.
Yeah, you just spend like a layover in Miami. I don't think you need to do
Yeah,
like a half
no, no.
day.
In
Just a
Boston, I
layover.
already know because I lived there for many years. So, anyways, that is the next installment of this this
Fantastic.
experiment.
Dating around the world with Julie Kraftchick, the fuckboy slayer. That's the name of our next show. I think this is so great. This is like when I was single, I would just swipe everywhere I went. I had, like
Yeah,
when I was working in the UK on a TV show there, I would every time I go there, I swipe, swipe, swipe. I had a boyfriend for like a week there. It was so great. Like,
I
you
think
know,
I remember that.
a vacation boyfriend because I love John. So like on my profile, I say I like John Cusack. And this guy happened to have a name very similar to John Cusack. And he had a great opening line. We ended up dating for a full week. It was fantastic.
Full
It was
week.
like
What a
full
long-term
week.
relationship.
Yeah. We talked about, like me moving over and all this stuff. It's just like playing house. Because as soon as I left, I was like, yeah, right. But but it's always fun to vacation date. And now you get to do it virtually.
That's true. I do always love doing that when I go to a city just to see what it's like. So
Yeah.
I think also what I realized too is that, grass or greener syndrome,
Hmm.
when you're like kind of getting sick of your city and then you go somewhere else. Like this happens to me sometimes when I'm sick of SF, I'll go back to Boston to home and then I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't wait to go back to
Yeah.
SF. That's how I felt on this experiment. I was like, hey, it's not that bad. Dating in SF isn't that bad. I'm going to go back. And then
Yeah.
I actually started talking to someone that I might not have talked to before because I
Mm.
realized my location was not confined anymore because of the whole Sicilian situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually ended up talking to someone for quite a bit yesterday from Healdsburg in
Oh,
um,
perfect.
wine country, which I
Go
probably
drink
would be
wine
out of
with them
range.
all the time.
Yeah, so you never know. You never know. But yeah, I think the one thing I wanted to ask you, UA, that you made a comment in the Facebook group when we were talking about dating experiments before about changing your name. You mentioned that you used to change your name
Oh,
to
yeah.
sound less ethnic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like dating, name discrimination is already pretty bad in just normal society. But in dating, it's really bad because with my name, like YUE, first of all, people don't know how to pronounce it.
No.
So they may not want to swipe on me anyway because they're like, oh, they have to ask for how to pronounce it. And two, I think some people just assume I don't speak English. So I remember going on a few dates where the guys would show up and be like, wow, you speak perfect English. I'm like, and you don't. Like, what does that mean? But I get it. Like name discrimination can do a lot. But when I changed my name to Tiffany, I would get so many bro matches. Because it makes sense,
Mm,
right? They're like, it's Tiffany. So I think you should definitely do a little name experimentation for that next round.
okay.
Yes.
We'll keep that outside of the city. We'll do
Yeah.
that next time.
Yeah. Like you said, too many variables, but that'll be
Yep.
next time. Yeah. And then we can have people like vote on different names. It's gonna be so
Yes.
good. It's gonna be
Yes.
so good. I love it. Love experiments. This is gonna be just so. I mean, like you said, I think at the end of the day, what you learn from dating experiments is you learn a new thing about your preferences,
Mm-hmm.
which makes you more open, and it puts you in a better situation to like find someone in your own city. So we're going to start something new this week. You've all loved the Would You Rather so much on our Instagram that we're going to post a new Would You Rather every Wednesday on our Instagram for you to answer. So we're going to post the next one this coming or today, right? If you're listening to this today. But anyway, Wednesday. You know when Wednesday is. We're posting it on our Instagram. It's at Dateable Podcast. And then when we record this intro again the following week, we will let you know all the results. So this every week you're going to get a new question, and then we'll reveal the results and comments and feedback. I have a really good one for this week. So definitely get on our Instagram by
At
Wednesday.
Dateable Podcast. Follow us.
Follow us there. And I know we glossed over this last week. We didn't get to talk about it, but our celeb dream cast, I guess, like dream guest for next season. We want to say her name every week, just so if anybody knows, Eliza Schlesinger, if anybody knows her, if anybody remotely knows her, if anybody has ever matched with her when she was single, please let us know. We would love to get her as a guest on our show. That's our celebrity ultimate wish. Yeah, that's like, we have others on our list, but I don't have time to go over them. But Eliza Schlesinger, fellow elder millennial, we love to get her on our show. So now we will get to our episode with Ken Page. We were on his podcast called Deeper Dating Podcast. So who is Ken Page? He's a renowned psychotherapist, popular Psychology Today blogger, Huffington Post blogger, and author of the bestseller Deeper Dating: How to Drop the Games of Seduction and Discover the Power of Intimacy. And also in my dreams, one of my BFFs. I really love talking to Ken
I
Page.
love Ken Page so much. And I think the way what he talks about with us, like he the way he positions us, I love so much. It's like he was talking about it being like this like museum. Like we are curators of the museum of modern dating, that we've heard so many tales and all of that we could basically tell you everything you need to know about modern dating. And I think that was such a nice way to put it.
And why we love Ken Page so much, besides everything else, is the fact that he's been through the trenches. He went through the whole like genre of game playing and trying to play like mind tricks with guys that he was dating. And he finally came to his realization that those things were not going to work. And he needed to buckle down and figure out what he wanted in a relationship. So now he's happily married, but he's been through the trenches. So I feel like he's been there with us, and he came out on the other side alive. So let's get deeper with Ken Page.